Hair she blinks. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. One of the advantages, with reference to the fact that Harry's wife likes to be seen, is that it provides us with a feast of footage and photographs to analyse, to demonstrate various aspects of the dynamic that she has with other people, and to demonstrate the various facets of her narcissism. Harry's wife has a number of unusual mannerisms at times. There is, of course, the way that she utilises the grip of doom in the way that she controls Harry. The fact that she stands in a rather strange position, often legs apart, as if she were airing out the old tuppence. She chops the air a lot when she speaks, her oversized hands slicing through the air like a pissed-up ninja. She walks in a strange way, not that which would appear natural. We've seen instances where the neck muscles are tense, the jaw is clenched, the jaw juts, and you know that that is where the facade is trying to keep the ignited fury at bay. You have seen other instances where she is given the death stare, other occasions where she appears to be talking to herself, and other instances where she is engaged in touching her hair repeatedly and blinking excessively. These mannerisms are driven by different behaviours associated by her narcissism. In certain instances, the failure of her to provide the correct facial expression is as a consequence of the way that the cherry picker has failed to go and get the appropriate package from the warehouse to make her look as though she fits in, because she doesn't naturally know what to do because she has no emotional empathy. In some instances, it causes her to portray facial expressions that don't even fit with the situation, like a malfunctioning robot. See parts passing from the Invictus Games. But often what happens is that she can be seen playing with her hair and blinking a lot. I'm now going to play you a piece of footage which comes from the attendance some time ago of Harry and Harry's wife a few years ago when they went to a tech park. I'm going to play you a fairly sizable chunk of the footage to allow you to see context with regard to the way that she is interacting with people. Keep at the forefront of your mind that because she is a narcissist, when she's engaging with other people or contemplating the same, she is governed by the demands of her narcissism. Therefore, the narcissism, like a background app, is repeatedly scanning to ensure that people are under control, that they're brought and kept under control, or that if there is a threat to control, it's nullified. That background app is ensuring that she draws fuel from people's responses. It looks for the opportunity also to take character traits and residual benefits. Thus, you'll be able to interpret her behaviours and interactions with people through the lens of her narcissism, compelling her to seek those prime aims. But what I'd like you to keep an eye out for, in particular, are the instances where she plays with her hair and also when she blinks. See how many times you can spot when she does those two things before I provide you with an explanation as to what's going on after the footage. Here it comes.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
We have run this through a few times.
Okay, we're ready.
Would I test you?
Yeah, sure. Where is it? Just pressing this one here.
Just need to press the play button.
Okay.
Tell me when you're ready. Whenever you're ready.
All right.
And Louise will explain the results.
Did you go bang or not?
Unfortunately, not this time. So you could hang on.
We did do this with the fold. Without his,
That's a couple of times and it makes a big bang.
Sort of see it already. It has begun to neck and is
Yeah, you can see
starting
necking.
to extend.
See necking.
So, and it will just start to continue to extend within itself.
How long have you been living in the UK now?
2 years now.
2 years. You're loving it.
Right at the front, yeah.
Do you live in Sussex?
Yes, in Chichester.
In Chichester?
Oh, how lucky.
Well, you moved, but you presumably you moved to Chichester before you knew this place was being built.
There are areas here where pupils are 6 times less likely to go into higher education than in more affluent areas. And you have met some of those students this morning.
What did you manage to pick up on? Well, initially, they're watching some demonstration that's taking place. There isn't a huge amount to really pick out of that. The facade is holding good. She's engaging with people, asserting control over them in a benign way by talking to them. But then in the second scene that it cuts to, Harry and Harry's wife are talking to a small lady with brown hair. You'll note that Harry is leading the conversation. And that whilst he's doing so, Harry's wife starts blinking rapidly. This is the onset of her anxiety, because although she stood there right next to Harry and opposite the person he's talking to, her narcissism is basically saying to her, "You're not involved. You're not involved. They're not talking to you or about you. You're not involved. You're not involved. Do something." She isn't thinking to herself, "Oh my goodness, I'm not involved. I now need to do something to become involved." She doesn't have that conscious awareness. But rather, the narcissism compels her to need to do something to involve her. And what it does is, it makes her feel anxious so that she feels that she should become included in the conversation. Harry's still talking to the lady, and what happens is, demonstrating a sense of entitlement and lack of boundary recognition, Harry's wife then tries to interrupt by talking. Harry doesn't give sway on this occasion. He must still have his balls at this juncture. It must be quite a few years ago. He keeps talking. And then you notice that Harry's wife is looking at him, and you can just see that there is the blink, 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 blink of her left eye. Because he keeps talking. He's not looking at her. The lady with the brown hair isn't engaging with her. She's on the outside, and she's being wounded. And therefore, her narcissism is creating anxiety as a means to try and get her back into the conversation. Harry doesn't acknowledge her. He doesn't turn and even glance at her. He carries on talking to the lady. But she is almost imploring him, "Recognize me. Acknowledge me," but it doesn't happen. And in the end, her narcissism has to jettison the act of looking at Harry to cause her to swing back and look at the lady instead and try and engage with her because Harry isn't playing ball. This wounds Harry's wife, but we don't see any presence of the ignited fury because the facade management keeps it in check. Instead, what manifests in the alternative is the anxiety that the narcissism is causing her to experience in order to compel her to do something. But it doesn't succeed vis-a-vis Harry, and we don't see the rest of the footage to see if she manages to bring the lady's attention back onto her. A little bit later, they're waiting to unveil a plaque, and prior to that, you will see that Harry gives her a little glimpse. That prompts a smile in return from her. She receives some fuel from Harry. He's under control. But straight thereafter, the engagement isn't about her. Somebody's evidently talking as they're waiting. And once again, because it's not about her, her anxiety rises, and you see the blinking taking place repeatedly. Thereafter, they exit the tech park, and you notice the rather strange way of walking that she engages in, almost sashaying out. Remember when she sashayed down the aisle at the service of booing? Well, similarly here, rather than walk out gracefully, she sachets as if to say, "Here I am," giving a sexy "rrrr" to those who were waiting outside and cheering her. That provides her with pure positive fuel. You'll notice, again, she plays with her hair, tucking it back. In this instance, the playing with the hair, which has happened a few times throughout the video, isn't actually linked to any anxiety or facet of narcissism. In actual fact, it's simply the case that her hair isn't quite kept in place, thus necessitating her keep pushing it behind her ears. In other instances, as I've explained in parts passim, her narcissism has compelled her to play with her hair as a consequence of anxiety, manifesting as a consequence of threats to control. But that's not the case here. It's simply the case that her hair is getting in the way because it hasn't been done properly. What you actually witness is plenty of blinking, which is as a consequence of the anxiety that's been generated by her narcissism to compel her to bring attention back onto herself for the purpose of control and fuel. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for watching.